So today we are going to start the R in MERN. Okay. So what is our stack? Our tech stack is called MERN stack, and in this we covered MongoDB, Express, Node, and today we are going to start React. Now, if you think of it, MERN is actually our okay. Forget about N, but MEN. These three technologies are backend technologies, right? And how did we write our front end? We wrote it in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, so to know why we need React and all of this, we need to go a little bit into history, obviously. So what happened? First, if you guys know about this, it's good. You might get asked in an interview, what is the difference between Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3? Okay, so when the internet was first discovered, they made Web 1. Okay, what did this Web 1 have? It had all the static websites. Okay, what does static website mean? You just have one thing written. Okay, for example, if you look at old computer science professors' resumes, they're still in only HTML and they might just use some CSS. Okay, so in Web 1, the content was very, very static, and users actually did not have any kind of control over these websites. Okay, so what happened is they used to write something, and that used to be the only thing available. Okay, and then we got Web 3, sorry, Web 2. Okay, what did Web 2 bring? It brought user interactions. Okay, user interactions to the table. And what does this mean? It means the website will respond to whatever the user is doing. Okay, for example, take your Facebook. Okay, Facebook is the best example they give for Web 2. In Facebook, what do? As soon as you click something, create post or anything, your content changes dynamically. Or look at your home page. If you look at your home page, what happens? In your home page, if you just reload, what is going to happen? All your posts are refreshed, right? Your For You page is refreshed, and you can even think of Instagram or Snapchat, anything. Okay, any application that you're currently using is actually a Web 2 application. Now, there is Web 3, but we're not going to talk about that because Web 3 is about decentralization. What does decentralization mean? Decentralization means the website won't be running on a single server somewhere. Okay, it will be running on a chain. What is a chain? It's a group of computers that agree on a particular state of a website and all of that. You need to think about Web 3 for now. We already know how to build Web 1. Okay, why? Because these are just static websites, and you can kind of mimic Web 2 on Web 1. Okay, but it won't be as good. But Web 2 is where we want to concentrate. Okay, so in Web 2, what is our aim? To maximize user interactions. Okay, not user interface, nor UI doesn't mean user interface. I just wrote short form like user interactions. Okay, so now what is going to happen is the content is very dynamic here. What does dynamic content mean? It means that the content is forever changing. Okay, for example, if you take a blog website, or just let's take Instagram. Okay, if you take Instagram, what is happening? Let's just break down what is happening in Instagram. Okay, so you take a mobile view, don't take the desktop view. What do you have here? You have your navbar at the bottom, you have your home, okay. Then you have your search or explore, then you have your reels button here, right? And what else do we have? We have user something, right? User profile. Okay, now if you click here, what happens? You go to your home page, you have stories here, right? Now, if I want to add, say, I'm following 1000 people and I want to add this element. Okay, what is a story? I can basically, it's a circle with a status indicator, like colored circle around it. Let's just give pink for now. Okay, just for a little bit of detail. So a status indicator to show whether you're logged in or not, or whether you saw that story or not. And if you saw that story, what will happen? This will become gray, right? So this will totally become gray. Now, if you think of it, this is very simple to implement, right? You guys already know how to do this. You just give border and the padding will be in this color. That is fairly simple. But where does the problem come? The problem comes when you have to build n number of these elements. Okay, for example, I have three people. Okay, person 1, person 2, and person 3, and these are their story icons. This is simple enough to build. You write one element and you just copy paste that in 3 places. Okay, but when does the problem come? If you want to make the same thing happen for 30,000 users, how do you scale your website? Okay, like I don't mean like catering to the users. I'm not talking about backend. I'm just talking about front end. If one single person is following 30,000 people, if for example Shaukat is following 30,000 people, how do you show 30,000 people's stories here without overloading your HTML on the server side? You can't just write conditions in JavaScript. Okay, if you write JavaScript to spawn objects, it'll be very difficult, right? You can do it, but the problem is it will be very complex. Okay, now to handle these kind of repetitive elements, we came up with a framework called React. Okay, as you might have guessed it already, we came up with React.js. What is React.js? It is a front-end JavaScript library that you can use to kind of mimic your backend. Okay, why? What does our backend essentially do? Let's go to the other page. Okay, React is, it's like both front end and back end if you want, but preferably front end. Okay, now what does your web app actually do? It has a front end side, it has a back end side, and both are connected with APIs, and you have a database that you're talking to. Okay, and this side, your front end will be talking to a browser. Okay, this is fairly simple. We've been doing, telling this since the first class, right? So now think of it like this. Why can't you just write this database calls on the front end? Because this database is running on a local machine and all of that. But nowadays, what happens is your database won't run on your machine. Okay, you have something known as a cloud database. For example, Firebase is the best example. It's free to use. We might just use it in this course if we feel like it. Okay? So there is some foreign database from a provider like Firebase or Azure from Amazon if you want. Sorry, Azure from Microsoft if you want. Okay, Azure or something like this. Okay, these are cloud databases. What does cloud mean? Cloud is essentially some other remote computer that you're accessing from your own application. Okay, now what is going to happen is these databases give you APIs. Okay, these APIs will not change, but they'll stay constant. So what you can do is, instead of connecting your database through your backend, you can actually remove the backend from the picture and you can connect your front end directly to this. But then your logic on the front end side will be very heavy. And what is the problem with that? Your website will become very, very slow. Okay, so these are the two problems that React will always solve for you. You can make your React app both front end and back end, but that is not recommended. Okay, don't do this unless it is very necessary in your specific case scenario and all of that. So now what we are going to do is we are going to get an overview of why React is. Okay, React is made up of something known as components. Okay, now unlike Node, whenever you create a React project, it's not straightforward. You have to run a few commands and understand something known as a directory structure. Okay, what is a directory structure? If you guys remember, what is a directory? Directory is a folder, and directory structure is a group of folders. Now, what we are going to do is we'll first create a simple React app, and then we'll like understand how it works and all of that. Okay. So coming back to this, we have something known as React components. These are like small pieces of code that can be reused. Okay. Now we'll first look at what how to create a React app. Okay. Now let's just go here. What did I open? Okay, I'm here, right? So I just do cd dot dot here. Okay, so in a directory, whatever directory you wish to open, just go to that directory, and in that directory type this command. Okay, npx create dash react dash app. Okay, so this is not npm exactly, but it is a command that you're writing specifically. This is how it is. You can't change it, but yeah, if you want, you can change it to self and all that. But for now, this is how you create a React app. Npx space create React app space your project name. Let's just say EMIERP demo for React. Okay. Now it will take a lot of time to create a project. If you're getting any errors, please let me know in the chat so that I can solve them. Okay, because it's very probable that you get some error saying npx is not defined or something like that. Okay. Please tell the command once again. Okay, guys, I'll type it in the chat so that you guys can also see. Npx create dash react dash app space your project name. Okay. This is the way to create a React app, so it's fine. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're bringing up pre-built project. Okay, a React app is always pre-built because you don't want to link all of these things yourself, right? So there are a ton of libraries working in the backend for React to work. So all of those are being installed. Just wait patiently until it loads, because there's like nothing we can do unless it loads. Okay. Okay, so it is kind of done on my machine. Okay, still installing template dependency. When you run this command for the first time, it might take a lot of time, but once you run it, the second time when you run it will be comparatively lower because these packages will already be installed into your global settings, so it's fine. Should we replace project name with the file name we are building since 2 days? No, this is like a separate project. This is not connected to previous project. Okay, just replace it with whatever name comes to your mind. Okay, so mine is done. If you look here, what did they say? We suggest you begin by typing cd into that project name because this will be a folder. Okay, if you I just code space dot into that folder. In a second, EMIRP. So this. Okay, so this is how your folder will be looking. Oh no, not this. 1 second, I came into the wrong folder. Yes, cd dot ls cd mirp demo for React. So what did I do? I did nothing. I just opened that folder that I created using the npx create React app into my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you guys can also do that same thing. Now, how do we run a React app is a bit different from how you run your Node app because we are going to say npm start. Okay, You can say npm run start, or you can just say npm start. Okay. So once you do that, your React app will run. It will take longer to run it on the first time, but then it will keep running continuously. And if you make any changes, it will show them there. So there are a bunch of folders here that you need to understand. But for now, let's look at how our React app is running. Once I hit npm run start or npm start, this is going to happen. It's loading. Give it a minute. Okay. So this is how your website is looking currently. But now we don't want this. We want to edit this, right? So let's see how we can do that. First of all, let's understand the directory structure that is being shown here. Okay. Right. Okay. So now what do we have inside this? This is my project folder. Okay. AMIRP demo for React. And within this, I have the node modules. What is this? We never care about node modules, because node modules is a folder where all your dependencies like Express or body parser or Mongoose will go. You don't need to think about this for now unless you're working in a group project, in which case you'll have to push your project to GitHub, and in that you won't push your node modules folder. Okay. So after that, there is a public folder. This is the important folder, because this public folder, whatever you keep inside this, will be shared all through your project. Okay. In this, we have our index.html and favicon. If you remember what is the favicon, favicon is something that you will see here in your website. Okay. In the tab, when you open it in your browser, you'll see a small icon on the top left of the tab. So that is your favicon. That is fine. And then we have index.html. If you see, the actual content is not written in index.html. This HTML file is a template. If you open it directly in the browser, you will see an empty page. You can add web fonts, meta tags, or analytics to this file. The build step will replace the bundled scripts into the body tag. Okay. So what is this? You don't need to think about that for now. This is the React app logo, a bigger React app logo and all of that. Manifest.json. You kind of don't need to learn any of this. But just remember that whatever resource or any file that you keep in the public folder, you can share it into your SRC folder files. Okay. What is SRC? SRC is the source code directory of your whole website or React app. Okay. So website and React app are both same for now, because even though it's called an app, it's technically a website. Okay. Now let's look at this. Index.js is where you specify everything that needs to go into React, and don't touch index.js. Okay. Never touch index.js and index.css. These are files given by React, and you don't need to change anything in that. Index.css and index.js. App.test, this is for testing. This is currently not needed. You can actually go ahead and delete this file. It will work fine. But there might be some dependencies in the project that you need to remove. So let's just keep that folder. I deleted it, but yeah, for now it's fine. Okay. So in app.js, this is where you actually need to change the code. If you look here, what is happening in the app.js, we'll get back to that. But for now, app.css is something that you use to style your app.js file. .gitignore is a file that specifies what all files and folders you don't want to push into your GitHub. You have package-log.json, you have package.json. Okay. So if you see, this is the script that we always run. npm run start or npm space start will run this script. It will say React script start. Okay. So readme.md is for your GitHub project definitions and all of that. But for now, don't think about anything. Just think about the SRC folder. Okay. If you open the SRC folder in the app.js, we are going to analyze what is happening here. Okay. So let me just see if I can copy paste this there. Okay. not ideal. But okay, I'll zoom so that you guys can see better. Okay. So now look at this, guys. This is our React app.js file. What is happening here? Think of it like it's a JavaScript file if you see app.js, but we are writing some form of HTML in this C. That is one weird thing that we observe. And if you see, all the HTML is in one place and it is in the return statement if you see, right? So now we are going to see how a React component looks like. Okay, what is a React component? A React component is a reusable piece of code that you can plug in into multiple files or web pages. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'll break down this structure for you. Okay, so first of all, we are importing something called a logo. That is not exactly like relevant for us now. We are also importing app.cs, and this is all import stuff. Import stuff we don't need to care about for now. Okay, so look at this. What are we doing? We're declaring a function, and that function is returning some HTML. Okay, and we are closing it. If you look at this, there is something weird about this. What is that? Div is given a class name. If you see in HTML, what do we give to specify the class name of our app? We give just the class, right? So we don't say class name, we say class. And if you see, this is for some reason in camel case, right? Camel case is when you start your sentence with a small letter and then continue the sentence without spaces, but every word's new letter will be every new word letter will be started with a capital letter. Okay, so now the class name is weird. This is also weird. And if you see, we have src equal to, but on the right side, what are we supposed to get? We are supposed to get a string, right? In image tag, how do we give a source src equal to? We give something dot png. But what is happening here? We are giving opening bracket, closing bracket, and logo. What is logo actually? If you see, logo is a variable that we are importing from dot logo dot svg. Okay, so svg is standard vector graphics or scalable vector graphics, I don't remember, but that is a form of image. Okay, so it's mostly used for images that need to be scaled up and down. They don't consist like direct pixels. They consist of vectors that tell your system how to render that image and all of that. Okay, then all of this is fine. It's same, no worries. And if you see here, nothing has changed except for class name. Everything other than class name is just like normal HTML, and that's it. Okay, after that we are just closing the function, closing the React return part, and we are saying export default app. If you see, app is the function. What are we saying? We are saying that from this file there will be a default export to any file that is asking for this import. Okay, so what does this exporting do? It will help us to import in some other file. Okay, we can import this into other files. Okay, so that is what export default app does. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't understand anything from this because there's not a lot of detail. So let's first edit this HTML and understand what is happening. Okay, if we go here and instead of saying learn React, I'm going to say hello world. Why? Because just simply like that. Okay, if you see, as soon as I change here, what is happening? This got reloaded, right? The terminal got reloaded, and if I go into my website and reload, what is happening? Instead of getting learn React, I got hello world here, right? So now we know that this is the component or this is the file that is showing us something on the browser. Okay, so whatever we return from here seems to come in to the website, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove all the HTML here and try writing a H1, right? h1 hello world, and I'll just open that. So now what is happening? H1 is not okay. Hello world came here. Okay, so this is like a normal HTML website, but there is one problem. Now let's try and add one more h1 under that. Okay, what happened? It is showing me an error saying adjacent JSX elements must be wrapped in an enclosing tag. What does that mean? That means the first thing you need to understand is what we are writing here is not actually HTML. Okay, it is something known as JSX. Okay, what is JSX? If you see here, JSX is a syntax extension for JavaScript, syntax used by React.js and all of these. So what this is you write HTML, okay, but in that there are a ton of changes that you need to make so that it works with JavaScript. Okay, if you write div here, you write div, and whatever you write within the return statement needs to be one single tag, and this single tag can have children tags. Okay, so this is how you write a React app with just basic HTML. Okay, now if I reload, it is working now. If you see, the problem is that whenever you return anything in a component, all of that needs to go into a single tag. Okay, you can't have multiple tags or multiple levels. So you can kind of think of it like this. Oh, you guys cannot see. Okay, I can write here, but I can't write there. Let me just erase this here all. Okay, so I guess I have to go with this. Okay. Okay, so whenever you write any return of a JSX, not HTML, remember this, what you're going to do is all this needs to be in a single tag. Okay, this tag can be an empty tag also. Okay, that is, you don't need to give a name here. It can be an empty tag. So what we're trying to make is the entry point should be single when you come to a React app. Okay, so if you think of it as a DOM tree, document object model tree, this can have children, but there can't be multiple elements or objects in the same level, in the first level. Okay, not in the same level. If you have something that looks like this in your starting level, that is not allowed. Okay, this is not allowed. So that is the one thing you need to keep in mind. And whenever you write anything in the return statement of the, we don't use that, right? So whenever you write anything in the return statement of the app.js file in your src directory, it will show up on your React website. Okay, so this is the one thing you need to remember. Now JavaScript is used to write all of this, that is like understood, right? After that, what we are going to do is we are going to write custom HTML tags. How do we do that? It's actually very simple. In the src folder, you can add a folder or you can just add a file and you can call ali.js. Okay, now this is going to be a React component and it is supposed to send out something. Okay, I'm going to import React from React. Okay, so that is one necessary import you need to do. And then what we are going to do is we are going to say function Ali, and in this function what are we going to do? We are going to show some HTML, return, function spelling is wrong, function Ali, and we are going to return something. What are we going to return? We are going to return HTML in this, obviously, and all the HTML needs to be wrapped into one single thing. And I'll give a h1 and I'll say this is the Ali component. Okay, now if we look at our website, nothing will change. Why? We created a component, but it is not being rendered. What is rendering? What does rendering mean? It means showing up on our website. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is here I'm going to import Ali. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The problem is I didn't export default Ali. Okay. Now if I say this, wait, if I just say Ali from dot Ali, that's okay. I'll just import it. Import Ali from dot slash small ali. Okay. So now let's take a look at our website. What happened? Although I did not write any HTML here, I created a custom HTML tag basically. Okay. What is this custom HTML tag? It is actually a file that is returning, or actually a function that is returning a div, and this div consists of a child element, which is the h1 tag. Now, what did I do? I linked these two. How did I link these two? How do you create your own HTML tag is kind of the question here. So what you do is you have one entry point for your React website, and it is app.js. Okay. Now, in this, whatever you return will be shown on your website, right? Now, what we're trying to do is we are going to add a custom HTML here. Now, this custom HTML is not actually a new real tag. It is just a function name that will return a set of HTML back to this, so that this HTML is rendered here. How we do that is, for example, I have ali.js here. Okay. We have ali.js, and we are returning a function here. Okay. A function here and called ali. It is returning something. What will it return? It will return HTML always. Okay. Or to be more precise, it actually returns JSX. Okay. What is JSX? It is basically a mixture of HTML and JavaScript together, where you write HTML tags, but you mix in a lot of JavaScript. Okay. The next thing is, after we close this function, we export this function, export default Ali. Okay. Now the thing is, if you don't write this, you won't be able to import it into your app.js. So make sure to write default Ali, default export, and this is then imported into your app.js and return within this return function. Okay, I mean, like, it is entered into the return statement. Okay, so now here you write your Ali, okay, and you close Ali, and this is how we create a React website. Okay, now the thing is, this nesting, or if you see, what are we basically doing? We are writing a function, ali.js function, in the return part of another JS, right? We can do this on multiple levels. How? We just create a new HTML file again, shake.javascript, and in this, I'm just going to copy paste this whole thing, and I'm going to change it, because we just need to write another component of the same type but different name. Okay, instead of Ali, what I'll do is I'll create, let's just say shake. Okay? Instead of Ali, I'm creating a shake component and I'm exporting it. So it is from shake.js. Now I'm going to import it into my ali.js, not my app.js. Okay. Import shake from shake.js, and here I'm going to write my shake custom tag. Okay. What should happen? What should happen is, look at this. We have our website, right? And this website is going to get data from our app.js return function. And this app.js return function has a custom component called Ali, right? This Ali will get its content from ali.js. And this ali.js has a return and has a custom tag called shake. This shake will get its component or HTML from shake.js. So now what will happen is, first the website will try to render Ali app.js. It will understand I need Ali. It will go to Ali. it needs shake. So it'll go to shake.js, and in shake.js, we're returning something. That return will come from shake.js into ali.js, ali.js into app.js, and app.js into the website. Okay. So now let's go here and run, reload. It's not working. Why? Because I gave some mistake here. Am I not exporting default shake? Yes, I'm exporting default shake, but something is wrong. What is wrong? Let's see. Let's just remove this once and write import React from React, and then the next thing we're going to do is write a function shake, and in this I'll return a div h1 shake component. That is fine, and I'll export default shake. Okay, but what is the problem? Function spelling is wrong. Okay, so now when I send that here, it is not small s. Now I change it to capital S. Import shake from shake.js, and this is going to be shake. Yeah, so I also forgot to tell you one rule. I'm not sure if that is a hard rule, but you generally give your special HTML tag names with capital letters. Okay, I'm not sure if that is a hard rule or a soft rule like IDs and classes in HTML, but in real world you'll always write your components with a capital letter in the start. Okay, so now it is working. If you see this ali.j, the shake component came from shake.js, and this ali component came from ali.js, and both of these are coming into app.js. So it is happening exactly like this. Okay, so this will add something here, this will add something here, obviously. Okay. So this is how we use React component. But what is the advantage of React components? Instead of writing the same code multiple times, here I need to write what, 11 lines of code every time. I can just write shake multiple times. Okay, if I just do this for like 5 times, it is working. But what is the use of this? This is not actually useful, right? We're just using the same thing multiple times. What is the use is that you can write JavaScript here. For example, you write, let's just say, what do we write here? Let's say console.log hello here. And if I run this, what will happen is, if I control, you can see that hello is logged, but it's logged 2 times. Okay. If I reload again, what is happening? See, it is logged 2 times. Why? I'll tell you that, but to understand that, you kind of need to go a little bit deep. Local npm cache logs, npm start is giving me an error. Are you in this Axel directory? Sure. Did you create the React app? I'm not sure where you got that error. Just hit npm run start once and try again. After creating React, okay, after creating React, you have to go into that folder, cd into the project that you created. What project name did you give? What is the project name that you gave by creating the React app? Then cd into project name and then run it. Okay, I told you like in the starting, right? cd space project name and then npm run start. Okay, now with this, what we can do is we can return something. For example, true and let's just say Ali here. Okay, now if you look at this, let me just reload it. Why is it not loading? Okay, this is not loading for some reason. Let's remove that. Okay, now what we can do is we can make this tag render multiple times. How do we do that? We use JavaScript, but the thing is, when you use JavaScript in JSX, you have to open and close curly brackets, and you always have to give your JavaScript here. Do not use semicolons. Okay, for in all, sorry, let I, yeah, you can do that, but then what is the error? You're opening and closing too many brackets, so that is not possible. Let's just look into React documentation and see what to learn next. Okay, React docs. See, obviously you have to read these documentations, otherwise you won't get anywhere. Okay, online ground, all of this. So we created a React app, tutorial, and all of this. We don't want that. Main concepts is the we want. So how do we write hello world? It's very simple. You just create this, but this is not what we're doing. Okay, this needs to be changed in index.js. Here they're doing something, right? So we don't want to do this because it's way too complex. In the real world, you won't change the index.js a lot. Okay, introducing JSX. Okay, so now you can go through this doc. Okay, we'll go through this together so that you can understand what is JSX. Okay, these docs are old and won't be updated. Okay. Look at this. What are we doing? We are assigning a HTML tag to a JavaScript element. So this is actually not allowed in plain JavaScript, but in JSX it is allowed. Okay. If you see this funny tag syntax is neither a string nor a HTML. It is called JSX. It is a syntax extension of JavaScript. We recommend using it for React, blah blah blah, and all of this is fine. Okay. JSX produces React elements. Okay, like just like HTML elements, it will create React elements. Okay. Okay. For example, I'll just show you one thing. Instead of rendering it like this, what we'll do is we'll just cut this whole thing, and I'll delete this. Let's just write variable. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is in this function, I'll declare a constant variable equal to this. Now let's see what will happen when we open our localhost 3000. Okay, and your React app will by default run on localhost 3000. You can change that, but for now it is not necessary. So what happened? This is the Ali component is coming from this variable, right? This variable I can change whenever I want. So the thing is, in React, we can write variable names, and those variables can be HTML elements, right? So that is one very nice thing that we get from React. And what we can do is we can actually make this a string and nest another variable in this, but for now it's fine. For now, we'll leave it at this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is read further. Format, name of user. You can call functions from under there. Like in this, you can call other functions. For example, let's just say I have a function called dummy, and this function will return me this. I can call that here. If you see, if I do this and dummy, I'm calling dummy. If we go here, it should load. See, the dummy component got added here. From where are we getting? We're getting it from a function. So you can write custom function that will return you HTML, and you can use those in your React app. Okay, that is done. Now let's read further. This is also the same thing. Yeah, and in React, whenever you assign images, you cannot assign them directly. You either have to give their URL when you use outside project images. And if you have them on your local, like in your project, what you do is you give the image tag. And in this, you give src equal to, and you open and close brackets. Within this, you write a variable name. What is that variable name? Let's just write logo for now. And we need to import that as a special variable. Okay, as we imported shake from /shake, that is /shake.js. Similarly, we need to import logo from /logo.svg. Where is the /? // is always pointing to your current directory, that is in ali.js, wherever you are. Okay, so you are currently in this directory. // is within this folder only. So within this folder, we have a file called logo.svg, and we are trying to bring that into this. Okay, so this logo.svg will be rendered or will be imported into ali.js, and it will be rendered in this image. Okay, now let's go here and see what is happening. If I just reload, see what happened. I am able to look at my image here, and just so you guys know, it is coming under all elements because I have it at the bottom of my web page, just like HTML. Okay, and after this, what are we doing? JSX can contain children. This is what I told you before, right? So we need to return only one element, and it can contain children element, but all the elements need to be enclosed within a single element. Okay. After that, we have const slightly equal to response.potential. No, this is not required. We'll just move ahead. Yeah, you always have to give your attributes, HTML attribute names in camel case. And there are a lot of changes here because that is how JSX works. Please take care of writing these names, because if you write a wrong name, you'll get an error and probably will solve it for half an hour. So always remember, whenever you write any attribute in React, it is going to be different. It is going to be probably different. Some are same, but it is going to be probably different from what you learned in HTML. So make sure to refer to docs and try again. And yeah, that is here, rendering elements. How do we render? This is how we render all the elements. This is from normal React perspective, but we are not going deep into React. Okay, this is just an overview. So I don't want you guys to do React DOM.create root and all of these. Okay, don't do this. Skip that. And now we are going to learn components. If you remember, we already created our first component called ali.js, right? So components are basically reusable piece of code. Why do I say that? If I write this same line multiple times, I am getting the same HTML rendered multiple times, right? Now the thing is, instead of just bringing it into one file, we can bring shake.js, the component shake, into multiple files. Okay, I can bring it into app.js, I can bring it into ali.js. If I have multiple files or multiple pages, we can bring them into multiple pages. Okay, but for now, all the React apps that we build will be single pages. Okay, why? Because in React, when you write anything, it will be rendered from app.js only, and app.js will render only a single route. Okay, it will always be localhost 3000 /. But we can change this port and all of that. For now, we're not doing that. And the problem is that whatever you write in app.js will be rendered onto here. But if I want to write localhost 3000 / sign in, how do I write it in React? We cannot write it using Java vanilla React or just plain React. We use something known as a React router, and that is a fairly complex topic, so we are not covering that. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to learn is components and props. So you guys understood what a component is, right? It is basically a function that is returning a HTML. But there are two types of components: functional components and class components. Now, actually, this is old React documentation. Everybody now uses only functional components. They don't use class components anymore. unless you're using a library that is very, very old, that is only then you'll see class components. Otherwise, you won't see any class components unless you're dealing with a very, very old library. And functional components are fairly straightforward. What are they? You have a function that will always return HTML and not HTML, JSX. Okay. After that, we can show something else. Composing. Yeah, this is what we did already. Extracting components. No, this we don't want to do. Okay, yeah. Now props are the main thing. Props are essentially your functional parameters. Okay. Props is a short form for properties, and that is essentially when you want to pass something from your first or from the JavaScript file that you're using into the JavaScript file that you're importing. Okay. For example, if I want to send some data from app.js to ali.js, how do I send that? Is through props. Okay. Now, this is how you write a function, and these don't use any kind of inputs. Okay. Do they see? Let's read from here. Whether you declare a component as a function or a class, it must never modify its own properties. Okay. For example, if I have function sum of a comma b, and I write inside this, I'm trying to call sum of a plus b comma b. That is not a pure function. Okay. So if you don't want to do that, you should never modify its own props. Okay. And consider this some function. Such functions are called pure because they do not attempt to change their inputs and always return the same result for the same input. Okay. Yeah, this is like fairly straightforward. And after this, what are we doing? In contrast, this function is impure because it changes its own input. If you look at this function withdraw of account and amount, will change it into account.total equal to account.total minus amount. So what is happening? We are changing this input in the function, right? So whatever input we are getting, we are updating that input's value within this function. So it is not a pure function, and React is pretty flexible, but it has a single strict rule. React components must act like pure functions and respect their props. Okay. So what is this? For now, don't think about that too much. Okay. Now, whenever we have a component, it has something known as a life cycle. Yeah, you can find APIs declared and all of that. Converting a function to a class, we are not going to touch class components, okay, because they're extremely complex and useless. Functions are now replacing all class components, so don't worry. Wait, I'll just show you some image. React component life cycle image. Okay, whenever you have a component, what will happen is it will first mount. Okay, mounting is basically when your element is spawned into your website. Okay, so it will basically start to appear to the user, and then there is update. In this update state, what is going to happen is you can change your website's look. For example, I'll show you what that means and all of that. But for now, in mount, what is going to happen is you will by default render something. Okay, and that will be spawned into your website. Okay, that is the first stage of your life cycle. After that, you have something known as update stage, where you will change your rendered element. Okay, for example, here I'm getting this is the Ali component, and if I want to change the name here, that will come under the update phase. Okay, first it will come as this is Ali component, and then I want to change it to this is Sheikh component. Then I am updating it basically, so that will come under the update part of the life cycle. And unmount is when your component is going away from your HTML. That is, it is no longer being spawned into your website. Okay, so those are the three different stages of life of a HTML or React component. And Yeah, we are going to learn state variables now. Please pay attention here. What is going to happen is we are going to write normal JavaScript elements like this, right? So instead of variable being this, I'll just say variable is 10. For example, think of it like this is the follower count, okay? Let's just remove everything and start from scratch, okay? Let's remove shake.js, hurry.js, all of this. And I'll just delete shake.js because it's way too complex to have many things. And I'll remove whatever is here in the return also. So now what are we doing? We're basically just bringing this app back to its original state. Now dot shake is not resolvable. We'll just remove that. Okay, we'll remove this also. Now look at this. What we're going to do is we're going to add a normal variable. Okay, let followers equal to 100. Okay. Now what is going to happen if we have this here and I say followers see, I'm still importing this in there. Okay. Now if I write followers here, what is going to happen? It will show up on my website, localhost 1000. See, 100 is showing up here. But if I want to update this, how do I update it? It's very simple. We'll just write a button here in this. Okay, whenever you write a button, you need to write it in the return statement because that's a HTML tag. And button on click followers +1, very good. Follow, right? So now if I reload and I want to follow, what is happening? When I click follow, it is kind of updating this, but what we'll do is we'll also log it here, okay? On click, we'll call a function actually, add follower, okay? Add follower, and this is going to be a function that we write here. Function add followers +1, and we'll also log the followers. Okay, so this is like your normal JavaScript function, no worries there. But what is the problem? Okay, I'm declaring this here, so I'll just pass followers so that I don't need to update it and all of that. Add followers. Okay, so what am I doing? I simply have a add follower function that will be called whenever this button is clicked. So yeah, on click is written like this in Java JSX because this is not vanilla HTML. What we do is we write on C is capital click, and within this we write opening and closing bracket because we are writing JavaScript. Whenever we write JavaScript within within JSX, we always start it and end it with a opening and closing curly bracket. Within this, whatever is there will be executed on click, and this function, this arrow function, is calling another function with the parameter of followers. Okay, and what is happening? We're just updating followers. So let's go back, and I'm also logging it. Okay, we go to console and I click on follow. What is happening? My followers is getting updated only once, and whenever I hit this, log is happening, but I'm unable to add it. Why? Because React has something known as a state. Okay, that means the current status of the app, and whenever we want to update anything, we need to update the state of our React app so that this component will be reloaded automatically. For example, if you see here, what is happening? We already have 100 here, and my current followers count is 100. But when I hit follow, what is happening? It is changing to 101 in the console, but it is not changing to 101 on the website. If I hit follow again, it is still staying 101. Why? Because the followers number is 100 in the app, but we are logging. What are we logging? We are logging followers +1. Okay, we log followers after adding, and we'll just log the same thing here also, but followers before logging. adding, I mean, sorry. So now if I reload and follow, what is happening? Before adding it is 100 only. So essentially my followers count is not increasing with time. Why? Because React has something known as state, that is the current status of the app. And whenever we want to update that status, we need to use state variables. Okay, const followers equal to 0. But now I want to update it, right? So what we do is we use something known as a React hook. Okay, it's known as a React hook. These are basically special functions that React will give us that we call to manage React state. Okay, now there are two main React hooks that we use all the time, and actually there are 7 React hooks, but for now we'll just use 2, which are use state and use effect. Okay, so we use state to update the state of a variable. Okay, const use sorry, whenever we write a use state hook, we initialize it with a constant array called followers. Okay, this array will have 2 elements, which are followers and set followers. Okay, set followers. This is just naming convention. You can name them whatever you want. But what we are going to do is we are going to say use state of 100. Okay, what does this mean? I'll tell you in a minute. So what we're telling React through this line is I am initializing a followers variable, and I am also initializing a variable called set followers, and I'm using the use state hook from React, and the initial value is 100. Okay, now the thing is set followers is not a variable, it is a function. Okay, so instead of saying followers equal to followers plus 1, what we're going to do is we're going to say set followers plus 1. But what is the problem now? This is declared here, right? So I'll just declare it above. Use state can only be used in the React function, right? Okay, so that is a problem. What do? We declare this. Okay, so now what problem are we getting? We are using use state here, but this is being here, right? So what we'll do is we cannot do this actually, it won't be defined, I guess. But yeah, for now, let's see if it will work. I reload and follow what is happening. Yeah, now it is updating. If you see, what did I do? I just wrote this function inside so that we can access this local variable. Now, what is happening? We are writing a state variable. Okay, what is a state variable? State variable is a type of variable that will force React to re-render this. Okay, re-render the variable's value whenever this variable's value is changed. But use state will give us some restrictions, which is the followers needs to be a constant array, and in this you'll give 2 parameters, followers and set followers. That is your variable and the function to set that variable, and in the opening and closing brackets you'll get you'll pass your initial value of that variable. Okay, so whatever the initial value of followers needs to be, I'll pass it in this, and whenever the followers value is changed, this element will be re-rendered. Okay, that is the first thing. Second thing is you cannot directly change followers equal to followers plus 1. You always have to set followers, and in this you will pass the new value. Okay, so if I want followers to be 10, I'll pass 10 here. Okay, otherwise if I want followers to be 100, I'll pass 100 here. If I want 150, I'll pass 150 here. If I want it to be followers plus 1, I say set followers of followers plus 1. Okay, so what is this doing? This function will set, that is, it will change the value of followers to followers plus 1. This is essentially equal to followers followers equal to followers plus 1. Okay, so that is what we are writing here. But because we are using a state variable, that is, we are using the use state function to declare this, we are using set followers. Okay, But see, the problem that we're trying to solve with the use state hook is that whenever we have a state variable, what is going to happen? It will force React to render a new element. Okay, like it will remove followers and it will re-render followers with its new value. You see, now followers is updating. Before it did not update. Why? Because React will only re-render a component if its state changes. Okay, if the status of that variable changes, only then React will re-render. Okay, so basically I already have this followers here, right? I have 100 here. Only when the value of followers changes in the React server or in our React app, only then React will re-render this 100, okay, that 100 text. If it does not change its state, it will always be the same, okay. Value and state are two different things. Value can go to 110, but state needs to go to 110, okay. Only then React will re-render this text of 100, and when it re-renders, it will show us the updated value. So that is how you update values here. Now the next thing we are going to do is we can actually okay, let's do one thing. What we'll do is we'll write a new function that will change between modes, okay, themes. Const theme, okay, const theme, sorry, theme, comma, set theme, comma, set theme equal to, by default we'll take dark. I don't want light, okay, I'll do dark, and that also. Now we are going to return something here, obviously, right? In this, what are we going to return? We are going to return our JSX. I'll return my div here, and I'll have a single button. And whenever we click on the button, what is supposed to happen? We're supposed to change the theme to dark or light. Okay. So on click, we'll call an arrow function. Sorry, on click, we'll call an arrow function. And in this, what are we going to do? We are going to say set theme to light by default. Okay. But what is the problem? If, okay, how do we write if? We write, we can use the ternary operator if you want. How do we, you guys know the ternary operator, right? Ternary operator is an operator that we use in substitution for if else. So if we have if a greater than b and we have else, we can actually compress this whole thing into a single line by, okay, let's just say here a and b component. Okay, no, we'll just say component 1 and component 2 are there. If we want to write this using ternary operator, how do we write? A greater than b colon 1, oh sorry, 1 greater than b question mark 1 colon 2. Okay, so this is how we write your ternary operator. These two together are your ternary operator. Okay, this will be executed in the true part, and this will be executed in the false part. So now how do we write that? We'll just write theme equal to dark question mark set theme to light, and we'll also say column set theme to dark. Okay, what is happening? Theme is not defined. Oh, set. Okay, too many spelling mistakes. Okay, it's coming on line 63 or 9. Okay, line 9 theme is not defined. If I control click here, what is happening? Okay, it is not happening. Why? Because I didn't import use state here. Use state. How do you import use state? Wait. Let me just write use state from React, right? Use state from React. You need to import that from React, right? Yeah, we imported, right? Okay. Something. Const spelling is wrong. Okay, sorry guys. Now if I go here, what happened? I'll reload, and this button will just write toggle theme. Okay. I go here. What is happening? I am toggling theme, but nothing is happening because I didn't call any other function. What we'll do is we'll let that be, and we'll say style color. We don't say equal to here. We say colon or equal to. Equal to. Okay. We'll do background color. Sorry, I forgot how we apply writing inline CSS in React. How do we do that? Let's see. Yeah, this is how we do it. The const styles. Okay, we can just do a JSON, and if that, that is just too complex, right? Okay, we'll just do that. We say const style. No, I don't want to do that also. We'll just give color here, okay? We'll give a JSON inside and we'll give a background color. Background color equal to red. Okay, we don't say equal to, we say colon, right? Because it's a JSON, we need to give key value pairs. Now, if I go here and reload my React app, the background color is red, okay? That is good. Now, the next thing we want to do is change this based on theme equal to dark. Change color to background color to what is happening. Okay, we don't need to do that. We need to give it here. Theme equal to dark or background color is black. Okay. So what happened? Toggle theme, toggle theme. Okay, so that is how we toggle themes. What did we do here? It's very simple. In the return state, okay, first of all, I have a function that is returning some JS. Okay, this we're not using anyway. And then we are exporting that default. In the return function, what are we doing? We have a div, and that we are styling. Okay, remember the first opening bracket and the first closing bracket are to show JavaScript. Okay, in JavaScript, when we write style, we need to write it in a opening and closing bracket. That is essentially we need to write as a JSON. Okay, and then we check the condition. If theme is equal to dark, then give black color. Okay, we'll just write proper names here instead of writing. Okay, and here it needs to be white. Okay, look at this. What is happening? We gave if theme is dark currently. Okay, ternary operator. Then give the background color as black. Otherwise, give the background color as white. Okay, simple. But because theme is a state variable. What is a state variable? A state variable is any variable that you declare using the use state hook. Okay. So what is the specialty of state variables? They allow us to force React to render this element again whenever the state variable value changes. Now, whenever we click on button, what is happening? We are checking if the theme is currently dark. If it is currently dark, we are setting it to light. And if it is currently light, that is, if it is not dark, we are setting it to dark. Okay. And by default, our theme will have a value of dark. Okay. So whenever the user clicks on this, what will happen? This will be triggered and it will check if the current theme is black or dark. And if it is not, it will set it to dark. If it is dark, it will set it to light. If it is not dark, it will set it to dark. Okay. So whenever this set is happening, this state variables value is changing, right? Whenever this will change, this will be forced to re-render because it is using the state variable, right? Now this is changed, so this condition will be checked again, and it will check for if it is dark, then it will change the background color to black, and if it is not black, or if it is not in dark, it will change it to white. Okay, so that is what is happening here also. So here reload. If I click on toggle theme, what is happening? It is changing between dark and white themes. That is what we want. Okay, so that's it for today. Tomorrow's class we'll learn the use effect hook and its syntax, functionalities, and all of that. Okay. So any doubts in today's class, guys? Yeah, if you don't have any doubts, you can leave the class. Thank you, guys.